Anything real specific?
Let's call the meeting to order.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, if we could please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Stephanie, roll call.
Chair Clark will have an excused absence. Vice Chair Stark.
Here.
Member Horning will have an excused absence. Member Campbell.
Here.
Member Bryant will have an excused absence. Member Lamug will have an excused absence. Member Jones.
Here,
Member Estill.
Here.
And you will be a voting member this evening. And Member Oquendo.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Approval of the minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review them?
yes.
If so, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
Motion by Member Estelle,
And I second them.
second by Member Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. New business. Looks like we don't really have old business.
New business. Yes, we have a certificate of appropriateness request major for 1112 12th Street. Let me just flip to the right page here. Okay, the applicant is requesting approval from the Historic Preservation Board for a COA to construct a two-story office building on the site. The building is located at 1112 12th Street. I've got that location here in Figure 1. Scope of work includes proposed new construction of a building size 25 feet wide by 40 feet deep, 2 stories with a central entry. The building exterior will be stucco. Fenestrations will contain aluminum single-light double entry doors and single-light aluminum casement windows. The property is located within the city's CBD1 business district and also within the Historic Preservation District. The vacant lot once housed a contributing building, and that building is reflected on the Osceola property appraiser as having been constructed in 1936. That building was demolished in 2022 due to code enforcement violations and a resulting order which required demolition. That prior building is reflected in Figure 2 here. The applicant would like to construct a 2-story office building, and the design and exterior materials of that is reflected in your attachment A. So I'm just going to scroll through some of those images here. Attachment A contains an essential French door, preferred French door, casement, and casement windows and elevation drawings. So here are the 2 different door options. Your casement window option and your elevation drawings. So the primary facade is the south elevation, then west facade. This one is your east facade. And then lastly, the north elevation, which is the rear. Okay. The information detailed in the staff report contains verbatim excerpts from ordinance number 2018-57, which is the St. Cloud Historic Preservation Overlay Ordinance. And for anyone who wants to get a full copy of that ordinance, they can go to the website and get that, stcloudfl.gov, or upon request, the board secretary can get you a copy of that. So the items that relate to this application are found in the additional criteria section of the ordinance. So I'm going to read the item, and I'm going to follow that with the staff comments. If you want to see the whole additional criteria section, that whole thing is outlined as attachment B in your packet. Okay, item number 1, new construction and alterations. So all new construction and alterations to existing buildings within a designated historic district or an individually designated property shall be visibly compatible and shall meet the following guidelines as determined by HPB. Setting, orientation, and setbacks. The proposed building will be situated approximately the same distance from the street as surrounding historic buildings to create a continuous street edge. The orientation of the building will be visually compatible with that of the buildings in the historic district at street level. The setting will be designed with the overall environment in mind and will take into account the compatibility of landscaping, parking, service areas, walkways, and accessory structures. 2, building height. The proposed height of the building at street level is visually compatible in comparison or relation to the height of existing contributing buildings in the historic district. 3, design styles. The proposed building takes its design cues from the prevailing architectural styles within the historic district. 4, proportion of openings. The proposed openings are visually compatible with the openings in existing contributing buildings within the historic district. The relationship of the width of windows and doors to the height of windows and doors is visually compatible with the existing contributing buildings within the historic district at street level. Rhythm of solids to voids. This is number 5. The relationship between solids, walls, and voids, windows, and doors of the proposed building is visually compatible with the surrounding buildings at street level. 6, rhythm of spacing along the street. The relationship of the proposed building to the open space between other buildings is compatible with other buildings in that block. 7, relationship of materials and textures. The materials and textures of the proposed building have been chosen with the predominant materials of the historic district in mind and are simple in design. 8, roof shapes. The roof shape of a building is a major distinguishing feature. The roof shape of the proposed building is compatible with the roof shape of existing contributing buildings within the historic district. And 9, size, scale, bulk, mass, and volume. The physical size, scale, bulk, mass, and volume of the proposed building is compatible with the existing contributing buildings within the historic district at street level. Staff recommends the HPB approve the request for proposed new construction of a building 25 feet wide by 40 feet deep, 2 stories with a central entry as reflected in the drawings and the materials furnished in document A, attachment A. The building exterior will be stucco. Fenestrations will contain aluminum single-light double entry doors and single-light aluminum casement windows. And the recommendation for approval is based on a finding that the proposed alterations are consistent with the purpose and intent of ordinance number 2018-57 and comply with the requirements outlined in the ordinance as outlined in the staff report. Specifically, the new construction of a 2-story office building is in compliance with the additional criteria requirements that I have just read to you.
Okay, any board questions?
I have a question. In the diagram, it's supposed to be with a central entry, but it looks like there's 3 doors. There's one, you see what I'm showing?
Yeah, I should have clarified it. It's the central storefront entry is right in the center of the building, and that's a double door. That other door there is to access the units on the unit on the second floor.
Okay,
The door designs being proposed are the same.
okay.
Any further questions? Then we would entertain a motion.
Are there any
Comments?
people to be heard?
Yes. Anyone from, well, is the applicant here? Would the applicant like to say anything? Shy? Okay. Anyone else in the public want to say anything? Okay, now we can entertain a motion.
I move to approve the request to construct the new building, 25 feet wide by 40 feet deep, 2 stories with central entry. The building exterior will be stucco with fenestrations, and fenestrations will contain a double-sized single-light door and casement windows, based on a finding that the proposed alterations are not consistent
Are.
with,
Sorry.
are consistent, okay, are consistent with, that's what I thought, with the purpose and intent of the ordinance number 2018-57, City of St. Cloud Land Development Code, Article 3, Division 24, Historic Preservation Overlay District, specifically new construction of the proposed 2-story office building is in compliance with the additional criteria requirements outlined in the ordinance.
Okay, Mr. Estelle has made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Member Jones has a second. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I apologize for that.
That's okay.
I always ask that somebody read it after me because my eyes just don't pick things up sometimes.
He recovered.
Yes.
Okay. Any other public comment on any subjects? You're welcome to come up here and say whatever. Except Tony, he just waits to be out of order.
He's the first one I looked at.
All right, with that, are there any additional, do you have anything else, Christine, you want to
No.
throw out at us? Okay, any comments? Yes, Ms. Patrice?
Is it now that I do this? Okay. I don't know if my microphone's on. Do you guys hear that?
Well, I can, but I'm up here next.
Can you adjust it closer to you and we can see?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Tap it. Oh,
It's
okay.
dead.
I know.
Is the little red light on the
No,
base?
It's off. Do I need it on?
I think you can
Yes.
push it, yes.
What?
Operator error.
Tony and I were riding around in our golf cart, which we happen to do quite often. And I noticed that, or we noticed that at 511 Connecticut, we lost a historic home. It was built in 1925. It was a Craftsman, and it was inside our little blue book, which I know has, it's dated. But it just, to me, when I saw it, it just reminded me of the importance of making sure we expand those historic lines, historic preservation lines, because they took it out. We were able to pull a picture of it off of the internet, and so anyways, it makes me sad, and I'm sure they're going to build a beautiful home there. That's not the problem, but the problem is it should have been, renovated, rehabbed, and kept.
That was brought in front of the city council, not that they necessarily could take action at the time, but it was noted that that was happening, and, there's not really much that could have been done about it because of the location. But it has been brought forward so that hopefully staff in the future would at least, flag that a little bit. But the good news, because that's the bad news, the good news is we have written a grant. We're finishing up the National Registry, the Main Street grant that Christine and Lorley are working on for the National Register. And then I just did another grant to update the inventory, which will cover our residential area.
Okay.
So we just have to back into how much of the area we can do with the funds that are available. But we were given a list of like 600 homes. We'll have to narrow that down to like 300 to 400. So we are taking action
Okay.
to go in that direction. So it would be the grid area.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, the two grant applications, so cross your fingers on August 24th and August 25th, because that is when the state is reviewing all the grant applications and doing the rankings. So hopefully, if we're lucky, St. Cloud Main Street will get the grant that they applied for, and City of St. Cloud will get the grant that we applied for. So the grant that Main Street applied for was to do another survey and inventory in an area outside of what we're currently working with. Survey and inventory is always the first step in creating historic districts. So that would be great if they could get that grant. And then the grant that the city applied for was actually to develop a historic preservation master plan citywide. So when you do a historic preservation master plan, it doesn't make everyone required to adhere to an ordinance, but it does come up with a framework for redevelopment and future vision and things like that. So there might not be regulations that are tied with that, but at least, it gets everybody on the same page as far as the vision and what the steps are. So are the next steps doing more survey and inventory? If so, how do we want to phase that? What areas are we looking at first? How do we tie in with economic development to make sure our objectives are helping economic development objectives, infill development, things like that. So those are the things that would go into a preservation plan. So we really hope that we get both of those grants. So August 24th and 25th, just keep that in mind and send good wishes.
Yeah. There are a lot of things that go on behind the scenes.
Well, I was just heartbroken when.
Yeah,
we-
it was sad.
Yeah, because you knew that there was a home that had been there, so of course we got the two addresses, came home, did research, and it's like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. Okay. Any other comments from the board? Carmelo, do you have anything you want to bring forward?
It's been a while, but I haven't heard anything. What are they planning to do with the old plant over there that used to be the high school?
Now you really want to give me indigestion, don't you?
I have some Tums.
Well, unless Christine has, a magic wand and can like hit somebody over the head with it, it will continue to move forward on being destructed.
You're talking about the
The power plant,
Yeah. Well, they got a generator that they can't pull out unless they pull down a wall.
right.
Yes.
But it's all going away,
They all complete.
yeah.
And, back to the historic preservation master plan, when you do master plan like that, it does identify some of these sites that would be really key for redevelopment and what they could be redeveloped as. It also helps you to kind of pull examples from other communities and show people, because sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes people don't have that vision unless they see, oh, wow, this community did that and they redeveloped it in this way and it was this successful. So hopefully we'll make headway on that.
Right. Now, I will add to, when the decision was moving forward, Main Street did do a request sheet to City Council at the time, asking for certain things to be considered as they're doing that. One would be doing an imaging of the front of the building so that whatever is replacing it would have the same imaging. Also, that there would be a historic marker there for the historic version of it. And some additional things, we asked for them to salvage what pieces on the inside that they could that would be able to be incorporated inside the new building for historical purposes. So there were a few things that we did request, and they did agree to do that, so.
I can give you an update on one of those. Melissa Dunklin had me give her contact information for laser scanning. So University of Florida does do laser scanning. So I know that they communicated about that. I don't know if there's any further updates beyond that, but I know that they were discussing the laser scan of the building.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they've gotten hired yet to do it or when that might take place, but that was being looked at.
Right. So there were some action steps taken when we realized that most likely we were losing the fight, so.
But wasn't part of the issue the fact that the environmental impact because of the oil or the diesel or whatever it was that permeated the soil below the building? Wasn't that part of the initial problem?
Well, there has to be a cleanup, but you're going to have to clean it up regardless.
That's what I was
Right.
fixing to say. They're going to have to clean it up anyway, so
Right.
it's not like
Well,
by
the-
removing it, they've removed that step.
Well, their thought in the presentation given to them is that it would be more difficult to clean it up with the building there, and that most likely the building would be damaged through the cleanup because of the way they're doing it. But they didn't even really finalize that final EPA evaluation just because they determined it was too much money.
So they just jumped to okay,
And part of it is where the funding is coming from.
okay.
Yeah, those environmental cleanups can be very costly.
Yeah.
And as I recall from the presentation, a lot of it also had to do with where the oil was. It's way down under the ground, and it's under a lot of equipment, and they have to get stuff out of there in order to clean it up.
Okay, any other comments from any other members? Good question. Ms. Jones, do you have anything else tonight?
I always have.
No, really? Well, go right ahead. You need anything?
No, I don't need anything. I was enlightened or pleased with a lot of the comments made, especially about some of the proposed changes to the matrix about who should do what. And I'd like to see the application really tightened up. That's where I'm going to be focusing most of my efforts, is on the application. And more so than the chart, because you were taking really good notes, Stephanie. And I understand we're losing Stephanie,
That's not confirmed yet, no.
but it might be.
She just opened up a whole can of worms, didn't she?
I know.
Because Jessie is moving up to Human Resources, and she may be moving to support the Planning Commission. And once again, we're chopped liver.
I never said that you guys
No.
were chopped liver.
I'm saying we are chopped liver, but I'm sure we'll get someone that will support us well.
We just
But-
need to clone Stephanie.
But,
Well, I was going to say, I think she should just do double duty.
but they won't be you.
I know. As much as I would love to keep historic preservation, we just have to see my workload because I'd be taking on a new role and I'm doing school. So the odds that I could
Oh my
not go
gosh.
crazy by doing all of that. But I would like to stick with historic preservation if possible because I've been working really well with Christine. So
And Carlos, I'm delighted that you are joining us.
Thank you.
With your expertise and experience. You're a wonderful addition to the Historic Preservation Board.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. And that's all I have to say, Madam Chair.
just
Are
small stuff.
are you sure?
And congratulations again,
Thank you.
Mrs. Dalton,
Emerald.
Emerald. Okay, Mrs. Emerald.
There you go. All
I
kinds of
suggested he
things to
change
say.
his name and just become Joe Dalton, but that didn't fly very well, so.
Why not?
Just do like everybody else and hyphenate it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so if that is everything from the group, we're adjourned.
Bang your gavel, Madam Chair.
Oh, I hate gavels.
Thank you.
But you do that